It was a bright Saturday afternoon in Crestview, a quiet town. The small local supermarket, Harvey's Grocers, was busy with people doing their weekend shopping. Among the crowd was Tamara Matthews, the mayor's daughter, known around town for her bold attitude. She was used to getting her way, especially because her father, Henry Matthews, had been the mayor for over a decade. People whispered that Tamara could be a bit too bossy sometimes, but no one dared to cross her. Tamara parked her shiny red convertible right in front of the supermarket, in the spot marked "No Parking." People noticed, but no one said a word. After all, it was the mayor's daughter. As she strutted into the store, her expensive designer bag swinging by her side, she barely glanced at anyone, acting like she owned the place. Inside Harvey's, Tamara grabbed a few items, not really paying attention to what she was tossing into her cart. When she approached the checkout counter, she spotted a young mother with 2 kids in front of her. They were taking a little longer than usual, with the mother fumbling to count her change. Tamara rolled her eyes and let out a loud sigh. "Can't you hurry up? Some of us have places to be," she snapped. The mother apologized softly, her cheeks flushing red with embarrassment as she tried to gather her things quickly. Tamara crossed her arms, tapping her foot impatiently. Once the line cleared, she dumped her groceries onto the counter and didn't bother to say a word to the cashier, who nervously rang up her items. But Tamara's attitude wasn't what would stir up trouble that day, it was what happened outside the store. As Tamara was loading her bags into her car, she heard a voice behind her. "Excuse me," the voice said calmly. It was Officer Jake Walker, one of Crestview's most respected police officers. He had noticed Tamara's car in the no parking zone and had come over to ask her to move it. Tamara turned around, her face twisting into a smirk. "What do you want?" she said, clearly irritated. "You've parked in a restricted area. I'll need you to move your vehicle to a proper parking space," Officer Walker explained, his tone polite but firm. Tamara couldn't believe what she was hearing. Did this officer not know who she was? With an air of arrogance, she placed her hands on her hips. "Do you know who my father is? He's the mayor of this town. You can't tell me where to park." Officer Walker didn't flinch. "I understand, but rules are rules. Please move the car, or I'll have to issue a ticket." Tamara's face turned red with anger. Without thinking twice, she swung her hand and punched Officer Walker hard in the face. People nearby gasped, and some even stopped in their tracks to see what would happen next. For a moment, everything stood still. Officer Walker, shocked but composed, slowly reached up and touched his cheek where Tamara had punched him. His eyes narrowed, but he remained calm. "That was a mistake, Ms. Matthews," he said quietly, pulling out his handcuffs. Tamara laughed mockingly. "You wouldn't dare arrest me. My father will have your badge for this." But Officer Walker didn't hesitate. In one swift motion, he cuffed Tamara's wrists behind her back. "You're under arrest for assaulting a police officer," he said firmly. Tamara's laughter died instantly as the reality of the situation sank in. "You can't do this," she screamed, struggling against the cuffs, but it was no use. Officer Walker began leading her towards the patrol car as a crowd gathered around, murmuring in disbelief. Tamara, the mayor's daughter, was being arrested right in front of everyone. As the door of the patrol car slammed shut behind her, Tamara's face was a mixture of shock and fear. She had never imagined her day would end like this, and the look on Officer Walker's face made her realize that this was just the beginning of her troubles. Inside the back of the patrol car, Tamara sat in silence, her mind racing. She could still hear the murmurs of the crowd outside, the whispers growing louder with each passing moment. Is that Tamara Matthews? What did she do? Her father is the mayor. The shock in their voices echoed in her ears. She had always been the center of attention, but this was not the kind of attention she wanted. As Officer Walker drove away from Harvey's Grocers, the reality of her situation hit Tamara hard. She had never been in trouble before. Sure, she had been spoiled and pampered all her life, but now she was experiencing something entirely new: fear. She glanced out the window, watching the familiar streets of Crestview blur by, feeling more alone than ever. When they arrived at the Crestview police station, Officer Walker escorted Tamara out of the car and into the building. The sound of her heels clicked loudly against the tiled floor, drawing the eyes of several officers who were busy with their own tasks. Tamara felt their gazes, a mix of pity and judgment. She wanted to scream, to say she was the mayor's daughter, to demand special treatment, but deep down, she knew that wouldn't help her now. Have a seat, Officer Walker instructed, pointing to a metal chair in the waiting area. She plopped down, crossing her arms defiantly, but inside, she was shaking. Just then, Officer Davis, a stern-looking woman with short hair, approached her. Tamara Matthews, right? You know your father is going to hear about this, Officer Davis said, a slight smirk playing on her lips. He'll be here soon, I'm sure. Tamara's stomach churned. What would her father say? He always taught her to stand up for herself, but he also emphasized the importance of respecting authority. This is all a mistake, she insisted. I was just being rude? Officer Davis interrupted. You assaulted a police officer, and that's serious. You could face charges. The words hung in the air like a dark cloud. Tamara felt her bravado fading. I didn't mean to, she stammered. I was just frustrated. Frustration doesn't give you the right to hit someone, especially a police officer doing their job, Officer Davis replied. Her tone was firm, but there was a hint of sympathy in her eyes. You need to understand that actions have consequences, Tamara. Tamara opened her mouth to argue, but closed it again. What could she say? She knew she had crossed a line, but the thought of facing her father and explaining this mess was almost unbearable. Just then, the front door swung open, and in walked Mayor Henry Matthews, his face a mixture of shock and anger. Where is my daughter? He demanded, striding towards the front desk. His presence was commanding, and everyone turned to look at him. Officer Walker stepped forward to explain. Mr. Matthews, your daughter has been arrested for assaulting an officer. Henry's expression shifted from confusion to outrage. What? That's unacceptable. Tamara, what happened? He turned to face her, and Tamara felt small under his intense gaze. I didn't mean to. I just lost my temper, she cried, her voice breaking. He was telling me to move my car. Do you think that gives you the right to hit him? Her father thundered. The disappointment in his voice stung more than she expected. You know better than this, Tamara. You've always known better. Officer Walker stepped in. Sir, we're following protocol. She'll need to go through the process, and then we can discuss the next steps. Henry sighed, running a hand through his hair. I understand. But she's my daughter. Can't you let her go with a warning? Officer Walker shook his head. With all due respect, Mr. Mayor, if we start making exceptions, it sends the wrong message. We have to treat everyone equally, no matter their status. Tamara felt her father's anger wash over her like a wave, but then something shifted in his expression. He looked at her, and for a moment, she saw a hint of sadness. "Tamara, you need to learn from this," he said softly. "Life isn't just about being the mayor's daughter. It's about respect and understanding the consequences of your actions." Tears filled Tamara's eyes as she realized how deep of a hole she had dug for herself. She wanted to scream, to run away, but she was stuck here, facing the consequences. As Officer Walker led her towards the holding room, she felt the weight of her father's gaze on her back. The door closed behind her, and she was left alone in a small, bare room, the reality of her actions finally settling in. In that moment, Tamara understood that being the mayor's daughter didn't protect her from the law. She had let her pride take control, and now she would have to face the music. Thank you very much for watching till the end of this story. If you enjoyed watching, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell for more thrilling stories. Don't hesitate to also like the video and share it with your loved ones too. Enjoy your day.